Hey guys, what's up? It's Behind the Badge, your friendly gaming police officer. In today's video, I'm going over each ranged DPS spec in the game heading into Battle for Azeroth. Now keep in mind, everything tested in this video is currently still in beta, so everything is subject to change. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks! First up, we have the Fire Mage. Fire Mage is an extremely fast-playing spec, and it's probably one of the better specs currently for ranged DPS. They have the AOE damage, the single target damage, the utility that a mage brings, and they're just all around super fun to play. In my opinion, I believe the faster play styles are a lot more fun. There's just a lot more to do. And again, with the utility aspect, you're going to be very, very good in Mythic Plus dungeons. Mages can bring, Ring of Frost, Polymorph, Frost Nova. Fire Mage specifically can bring Blast Wave, counter spells, everything like that. So you're going to be very useful for a team. You really don't lack anything, rather. Your single target damage is there, your AOE damage is there. All around right now, Fire Mage is probably one of the better specs. There's nothing lacking, as I said. They're just super fun to play, and I would highly recommend one. For raids, though, you're going to be somewhat lacking in the single target damage department, but so far most fights are all AOE based. So you're going to have those Flame Strike procs, and then when those are burning, you can just do your Pyroblasts, your Living Bombs for the AOE, and everything will be just fine. You'll have no problem in raids. But Mythic Plus is really where you're going to shine, and you're going to do your best. And all in all, I believe Fire Mage will be extremely good, probably throughout the expansion, as they just have so much utility in AOE, and they're just so versatile, rather. So if you really do want to play a Fire Mage, you're going to be having a good time. Now we'll dive into the Frost Mage. Frost Mage is a very proc-based class. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's an extremely fluid and smooth play style, and in fact, Frost is arguably the best ranged DPS in the game right now, or at least heading into BFA. Your AOE damage is ridiculous, your single target damage is ridiculous, you bring all the utility that a mage brings. So for a Mythic Plus, you're going to be probably included in the majority of teams. You're going to be very sought after, without a doubt. And then in raids, you're going to shine like crazy. You'll be great in trash, you'll be great for boss fights, and there's really nothing that you're not going to be able to do. You're going to bring everything a mage brings and then some, just because of how insane the DPS is right now. Now that is all subject to change, as it is still beta, but I doubt it's going to get changed heading into BFA. You might have a patch or two before some nerfs happen, but if you do pick a mage, again, you'll have your Frost, you'll have Fire, so you're going to have two really good specs. So if you do pick a Frost Mage, just know that there is a possibility of a slight nerf, but on the upside, you'll still have Fire to jump into. Next up, we have the lesser of the three mage specs, Arcane. Arcane honestly isn't in that good of a spot right now. Their AoE damage is lacking, their single target damage is lacking, and quite frankly, they have some mana issues as well. Those mana issues can be sort of a big problem for Mythic Plus dungeons, just because you'll have to sit and drink, and that'll burn quite a bit of the timer as well, so you could potentially lose some of your Mythic Plus keys. And then a huge issue they run into right now is mobility and casting and things like that. A lot of raids, the mechanics right now require you to move, so you're going to be losing a lot of DPS just because you are a standstill casting class. With Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles being a large part of your arsenal for your DPS, that movement is really going to lower your DPS. And then Evocation as well, to combat those mana issues, is quite a lengthy channel. So with that in mind, when you're using Evocation, you're going to drop a lot in terms of damage. So I honestly wouldn't recommend an Arcane Mage. I would pick a Frost or Fire Mage over Arcane currently, but the good news is all three specs somewhat take the same secondary stats. So should Arcane get buffed and you do want to play it, you'll have, no issue just diving right into it. Next, we have the Shadow Priest. Shadow right now feels very fun, but the sad news is it's really going to not be that great for Mythic Plus dungeons. That's simply because Mythic Plus, the fights are going to be very short, while Shadow sort of shines in lengthier fights. It's a very sustained class. So Shadow, while it might not be good for Mythic Plus, is going to be very, very good for raiding. Just because those fights are longer, they're going to take more time, you're going to be able to do more of your ramp up damage, you're going to be able to keep pumping out all your Mind Flays, your Mind Blasts, you're going to get a lot of Void Eruptions off, and everything's going to sort of play into how the spec is designed to play. I can sort of see the first patch of BFA, a Shadow Priest, getting a slight change just because it sort of is lackluster in terms of shorter fights. And I know Blizzard is really trying to make every spec viable for Mythic Plus, or every class viable for Mythic Plus. And right now, Shadow Priest just sort of isn't there for the shorter fights, as I said. Honestly, their utility really isn't that great either for Mythic Plus. They do have that AOE stun, but that's sort of all they bring besides that and the party buff. They don't really bring too much utility for Mythic Plus. So since they're sort of lacking the shorter overall damage, and their damage is more of a ramp-up type damage, and they're sort of lacking utility, they're not going to be very sought after for Mythic Plus. But you're going to be sought after for raiding, and higher-end guilds probably might try to recruit you. So you have that to look forward to, but just keep that in mind that Mythic Plus you're really not going to do too well in. Next, we have the fan favorite heading into BFA, Demo Locks. Demo had some very good changes. Blizzard did a very good job with making this class just feel very good. It honestly fits how you would expect a Demonology Lock to play. You summon all these demons to do your damage, and it's just a great feeling. The spec runs very smooth, the AoE damage is good, the single target damage is good. The nerfs that they did, though, throughout beta sort of limited it, where it's not as good as Destro and Affliction anymore, which sort of sucks, but you're still going to be viable, and you still have all that Warlock utility that'll be useful. So you'll be good in Mythic Plus, you'll be good in raids, and if you do pick up this spec, you're going to have a lot of fun. There's not much wrong with it, despite the fact that Affliction and Destro are a little bit better, but it's not arguably a lot better. So if you do pick up Demo, just enjoy it, play it how it is, and then if it is a little bit lower on the charts, I'm sure Blizzard will fix that. Next, we have the Destruction Warlock. Currently, Destruction is probably the better of the three Warlock specs. The AoE damage is more consistent, the single target damage is more consistent, and it's a lot easier to pump out that damage. There's not much target switching, there's not much multi-dotting that you have to do, and it's very, very fun. The animations are cool. It's great. Like, if you look at Rain of Fire, you look at Chaos Bolt, it just looks amazing. For Mythic Plus and rating, you're going to be very sought after. Your damage is great, you bring all the utility a lock brings, and there's really not much wrong with the spec. It's not very overpowered. It's not really in like needs of any nerfs. It's in a very good spot. So if you do pick a Destro Lock, you're gonna be having a lot of fun just because the spec is very, very enjoyable to play and the animations look great. Next up, we have the Affliction Warlock, and Affliction right now, in my opinion, is the second best Warlock spec. You are viable for Mythic Plus, you're viable for raids, and you're overall a very good spec. There's a few changes that have happened to this spec. Soul Shards are now built up with Agony, your new filler Shadow Bolt instead of Drained Soul, and you're still around the same play style of multi-dotting, but they've added a new single target ability called Death Bolt, which I believe does 30% of the damage remaining on your dot effects instantly. So that's a really cool ability, and it actually chunks quite hard. A change that I would like to see is Seed of Corruption when it explodes to also spread Agony with it. I believe that'd be great, just because Agony is how you build Soul Shards now. And you're going to lose out on a lot of DPS if you have to go through every single target and just multi-dot Agony over and over again. So that'd be a nice change to see. Your damage is great, you're viable for everything, and you still bring all the same utility. So overall, if you pick the Affliction Warlock, you're going to be in a very good spot, and you'll be able to have a lot of fun playing the spec. Next up, we have the Balanced Druid. Balanced Druids right now are very, very fun, and arguably the best AoE spec in the game. Their single target damage, though, is lacking. They're sort of middle of the pack, but that's alright, just because they are an AoE spec. You're going to be very good for Mythic Plus, you'll be very good for raiding, and a lot of teams are going to want you. Balanced Druids do bring quite a bit of utility. You can spec into a lot of different things. You'll have your roots, stuns, heals, silences, you have everything. Even Hibernate now they brought back, which is awesome. They're just super fun. It's all about multi-dotting and spamming starfalls, and it's just overall great. There's quite a few changes that they've done that make it more of a fluid play style and make everything feel a lot easier to do. And overall, I love the spec, so if you do pick a Moonkin, I believe you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to be very viable for everything you really want to do. Up next is the Elemental Shaman. Elemental right now really isn't in a good spot, but it's not as bad as other people have been saying. It's very, very fun to play, and it offers quite a bit of utility, but the single target damage is lacking, and the AOE damage is lacking. With a few buffs, I could see Elemental being extremely good in Mythic Plus and Raids, but right now it's going to do a lot better in Mythic Plus than it will do in Raids. The utility it offers with its totems and a Heroism or Bloodlust, Hex, it's just really, really good. And a lot of Mythic Plus teams are going to seek that just because a lot of higher level Mythic Plus keys do require some kiting and a lot of CC. Raid teams, though, they're going to want a range spec that offers more damage. So if you do pick an Elemental Shaman, just be warned, some raid teams might not want you, but they are probably going to get a buff, maybe come the first patch of BFA, and I couldn't see them becoming very, very viable. Up next, we have the Marksmanship Hunter. Marksmanship right now is very good for single target damage, but not really that good for AoE damage. It does have some AoE that allows it to be alright, sort of like middle of the pack between the aim shot splits and multi-shot, but where it really does shine is single target. So with that being said, I firmly believe Marksmanship will be a lot more viable for raids. You'll be a lot closer to the top of the charts, more so than Mythic Plus. Hunters do have quite a bit of utility though, with their Aspect of the Cheetah and Frost Trap. So some Mythic Plus teams might want you because of that, but I feel like a lot of more top-end guilds are going to be trying to recruit you just because of that really, really big, bursty single target damage. The way that I like to play Marksmanship is with the lock and load talent, just to sort of combat a lot of the moving mechanics of raiding. That way your DPS really doesn't drop as much. With that being said, if you pick Marksmanship, you'll have a lot of fun. You'll be viable for a lot, and I firmly believe you'll enjoy the spec. Up next is the Beastmaster Hunter. BM right now is extremely fun and fluid to play. Your single target damage is amazing, your AoE damage is amazing, and you have quite a bit of utility. A really fun factor about BM is your mobility. You are probably the most mobile range spec in the game just because you have absolutely no casting. And with that being said, the raid mechanics really aren't going to apply to you too much. You're not going to have much of a DPS loss. And a very cool thing about BM actually is I found that Bestial Wrath you can have up just about 4 times in a minute window, so your burst is going to be extremely good, and it's going to be there almost, I want to say 85% of the time. A really cool factor with the mobility also is the fact that Mythic Plus teams are going to want you just because you'll be able to avoid all of the things that could cause a lot of unneeded deaths in Mythic Plus that could lower your timer and ruin keys. So if you do pick a BM Hunter, you're going to definitely enjoy it. You're going to be in a safe spot, and I don't see Blizzard changing BM too much, maybe a slight nerf here and there. So just enjoy the spec, play it how it is, and just have fun. Okay, so to put everything into a quick recap, I have a tier list created. For S tier, I do have the Frost Mage and Fire Mage. A tier, I have the Destruction Lock, Balanced Druid, and Beastmaster Hunter. B tier, I have the Affliction Warlock, Demonology Warlock. C tier, the Elemental Shaman and Marksmanship Hunter. D tier, the Shadow Priest and Arcane Mage. Now guys, as I said before, keep this in mind that this is beta, everything is subject to change, and this list can and will most likely change later into the expansion. Please like and subscribe, and then if you guys have any differing opinions with me, just leave a comment, and I hope to sort of sort things out. Thanks guys for watching, and just please stay safe. Have a good one.